Good news, all you Lord of the Rings fans! There's a brand new Middle-earth tale to dive into. The new series, Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power is a prequel set in the Second Age in Amazon, reportedly spent a pretty penny producing it. More on that below. We can only imagine that means its action-packed scenes will not disappoint even the biggest fans. Today, I am going to show you 10 facts you probably didn't know about Lord of the Rings Rings of Power. Before the video begins, please give it a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. Number 10. Is The Rings of Power a prequel? In many ways, yes. The Rings of Power takes place before the events of The Lord of the Rings, so for the sake of simplicity this series is a prequel to the films. The Rings of Power takes place thousands of years before The Lord of the Rings. It's a time period in Middle-earth referred to as the Second Age, because time in this world is divided across globally impactful events. The Third Age, where Sauron is a big glowy eye and is hunting for his ring, is very far away from the events of this series. Sauron is very much person-shaped in this series. Additionally, where the films were adapted from the 3 books written by J.R.R. Tolkien, the TV series is not so thoroughly sourced. Amazon was unable to secure the film rights to the Silmarillion, Tolkien's collection of stories from before The Lord of the Rings. Instead, this series will be based on the appendices in The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien left a ton of notes about the history of Middle-earth in his very popular trilogy, including an abridged history of many of the events within the Silmarillion. Number 9. Need to watch or read anything before starting it. You don't need to have seen The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit to enjoy The Rings of Power. Similarly, if you have seen those films, but it's been a while, you're fine. It's not necessary to have recently consumed the extended editions of every film. And the same goes for all of the books. It's certainly not going to hurt if you've seen them recently, or if you've read the Silmarillion at some point. And don't fret if you're ever lost about something in an episode. We'll be posting recaps and explainers as early as possible. And we've got a terminology guide for the show too. Number 8. Will familiar characters show up? There are 2 popular characters from The Lord of the Rings with much more significant roles in The Rings of Power, Galadriel and Elrond. In Lord of the Rings, we see these 2 as rulers of their own realms, largely unable to leave those realms because their power keeps those places alive and protected. In The Rings of Power, each of these characters is younger and with far less status. Galadriel is a young warrior commander on a quest to avenge the death of her brother, while Elrond seeks to achieve status through political means. The rest of the characters you have seen before are either not even close to being born yet, or they haven't yet arrived in Middle-earth. This is so far back in the past that hobbits as we know them don't exist, and their ancestors have not yet found the Shire. Hobbits come from 3 different kinds of halfling, one of which are Harfoots. These Harfoots are nomadic and move around a lot to stay safe. We're going to get to know at least one tribe during Rings of Power, but not much else is known. Number 7. Amazon ruining The Lord of the Rings by making stuff up. Nope, these are nonsense words from people on Twitter who like to be mad at things. I'm going to let J.R.R. Tolkien himself answer this, with a quote from a letter he wrote in 1951. Since Amazon doesn't have access to a concrete, beat-for-beat story that tells you what every character was doing in the Second Age, there's a lot of space to be filled in. What you're going to see in The Rings of Power is exactly what Tolkien describes above. New minds telling a new set of stories within the larger beats created by the grand storyteller for the universe. There are certain lines Amazon shouldn't cross, especially when it comes to outright rewriting a story point Tolkien has established. But outside of those larger plot points, there's a lot of room for other stories to be told respectfully. In the previews for the series, we've already seen pieces of this. Tolkien only ever mentions a single female dwarf in all of his storytelling, and it's more or less done to further develop a prominent male character. We know dwarven women exist, and they must have done things in their mountain halls, so having a character like Disa to follow in Rings of Power is a great fairly low-stakes way to respectfully expand Tolkien's universe. The same can be said of the Harfoots, nomadic ancestors to the hobbits we all know and love. Tolkien created Harfoots, but they were never a part of any larger story he told. This is a great opportunity to have some fun with a group most people already know they love. Number 6. Show creators worked with the Tolkien estate to condense the timeline. In the original Lord of the Rings, the Second Age lasted for thousands of years. That would have been difficult to bring into the show, since it would mean all of the humans would die off, leaving only the same elven characters over the course of the series. Production worked with the Tolkien estate to shorten the timeline so that viewers can stay emotionally invested in the characters. Number 5. It's one of the most diverse projects in Lord of the Rings history. Show creators wanted to hire a diverse cast. If you're going to tell this story in 2022, this to me feels like the only way to tell it, the only way to represent it. Actress Cynthia Ade Robinson, who stars as Queen Regent Muriel, told Yo-Hoo Entertainment. And I think people have been really hungry to see full representation in this world. Because at the end of the day, this story is all about people of different backgrounds coming together for a common cause. Number 4. There will also be more storylines focused on women. The series made sure to stray from the male-centric plots that came before it. Every woman has agency on this show. Nazanin Boniadi, who plays Bronwyn, revealed to Yo-Hoo Entertainment. Every female character is not there to serve the male characters around her. Every one of us has autonomy and our storylines. Number 3. The series is expected to last at least 5 seasons. Expect most, if not all, loose ends and lingering questions to be answered by the end of the series. The rights that Amazon bought were for a 50-hour show. They knew from the beginning that was the size of the canvas. This was a big story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Showrunner J.D. Payne told Empire. Number 2. Billy Boyd has some advice too. Boyd, who played Peregrine Pippin-Took, added some advice that Peter Jackson originally shared with him while filming the movie trilogy. Think of it as a history. So everything that you are doing happened. And the people felt it, and they were emotional, he told Salon. And don't play it like it's a fantasy and there's elves, it's real. And people were hurt, and people were angry and sad, and play those things real. Number 1. Behind-the-scenes content is also being filmed. In addition to shooting the series, Amazon plans to release behind-the-scenes featurettes. The company will also provide New Zealand with 660 to 90-second videos to use for promoting tourism, and credit the country in the opening credits as the shooting location. Thank you for watching, and please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable post alerts to view more of our future videos. After saying that, keep watching our videos, and I'll speak with you in the next one.